Alrighty everybody, it's Good Sam time again. This time I have my trusty coach Kevin. And
we are going to get great this time.
We're gonna get great, but, you know, it may be a little tricky because today's subject is Zul'Jin. And I have never, ever played this character before. So this should be interesting, if anything.
How long have you been playing this game for again, Sam?
Since the beta.
Since the beta. I mean, Zul'Jin hasn't been out since the beta, but, you know.
I know.
Come on.
Here's the thing that scares me, is that I tend to get bloodthirsty, and the idea of having, being more powerful at low health just gives me anxiety, constantly being at low health. So, so far he's kind of intimidated me and scared me a little bit, so hopefully with Kevin's guidance I'll be able to do some really cool things with him.
That's actually kind of a misconception people have with Zul'Jin, is this notion that like you need to be like on the razor's edge, you know, like they say in the Spotlight video, that you need to be playing around with 2 health the whole time. It's really more of a misconception. You do have control over your own health. You can lower it with your trait, and you can raise it back up with your E ability. You do have control over your health. You can use your trait to lower it, or you can use your E to heal yourself. But generally speaking, you still want to be at high health. It's just more of an advantage than being at low health in the vast majority of combat situations. And you're gonna lose health just naturally through the course of the game, so you don't really have to worry about killing yourself to get your damage back. So, in the past, you've complained about Sylvanas because you see her as kind of like slow Vala, I believe is the term you used.
Yep, slow Vala.
Okay, well Zul'Jin is even slower Vala.
Oh dear, okay. So, as you may have noticed guys, we are starting this one off in try mode, mostly because, you know, I think it's because I've actually never ever touched this character before. I thought it wise to kind of, or we thought it wise to kind of learn some combos, maybe a few tips and tricks before we actually jump into a match.
Yeah. So let's just go over your basic abilities real quick. So your trait basically is less health you have, the faster you attack, and you can activate it to make your auto attacks damage you, but also deal more damage. So you can toggle that on and off whenever you like. Generally, you want to just keep that off. There are some situations in which you'll want to turn it on, but those situations are where you are very safe, and the amount of damage that you are dealing is very important. So, for instance, if you are racing like with Immortals, and you need to pour on the DPS, and you know that they're just trying to race, that's a moment where you want to turn on your trait. Or you are defending against Immortal or defending against a Grave Golem, and the other team isn't there, and you know that you can just Hearthstone back.
Okay, so what am I taking for my first talent?
Well, let's look at your basic abilities first before we start looking at complicating matters even further.
Kevin, I want to do the fun things.
No fun. Fun comes after learning. Okay, so his Q is basically what you want to use for chunking frontliners. It's got a fairly low range, but what it does is it makes your auto attacks against those marked targets deal extra damage. So when you throw out your Q, it hits the first 2 targets, whether that's heroes or minions, marks them so they get that little symbol on them, and that means they'll do more damage when you hit them. For like your first couple auto attacks. Zul'Jin, one of his strengths is you can kind of play him like a Tychus, where he can just really tear up the front line because he does so very much damage. And the problem is that for Zul'Jin, his positioning is extremely important, and you don't really want to be trying to dive the back line like you could with like a Vala or whatever, because you don't have a viable escape. So his W, you'll notice, is kind of tricky to land, because I think you've missed pretty much every single one so far.
Yep.
So his W is a slow. He throws out 2 axes. Each axe will slow when they hit someone. So if both axes hit, then they'll get double the slow.
Okay, that one
Now
was
this
a little
actually has... That was a little better. This actually has a very long range and can hit a lot of different targets. So it's a very powerful ability, but it's also kind of tricky to land. But it's very flexible, so it takes some practice. You can just do it like that and throw it out and hit someone at max range. But you can also tilt it so you can hit someone at any range in between. So if you push your W key, you can see that if you rotate where you are aiming, that circle can be anywhere from max range to right in front of you.
Oh,
So like you
really
can hit
cool.
those minions. Yeah, so that's the skill with that is, say you're chasing or say someone's approaching you, is kind of doing the vector of, okay, where is he going to be when this axe reaches out? You know, how long do I have to wait? How much do I have to tilt it to hit? So that's kind of like a real skill testing aspect of Zul'Jin that I like a lot. So like right now when you're being chased, you can just kind of turn around, W, do a 90-degree
Oh, I missed.
tilt with your W, and just hit right in front of you, and then that way you can kind of escape.
Man, it's actually harder to land than I thought it was gonna be.
It's pretty tricky. It's not just like a point and click like Vala's Hungering Arrow or something. Now his E will heal you, simple as that. But 2 things to keep in mind. One is that you cannot move and you cannot take any damage while you're channeling it, or else it'll immediately turn off.
Okay.
And the second is that Zul'Jin is very mana intensive, and just spamming E a lot will definitely help you run out of mana even sooner than you normally would. So you've had your trade up for a really long time. Is that intentional? Because it's very easy to forget.
I definitely forgot that it was on.
Yeah, it
So
deals
that's-
a not insignificant amount of damage per hit. You will drain your life very quickly if you just forget to take that off. I think it's something crazy like 2% per auto attack or something.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that W is going to take a little bit of practice to get used to.
A killing blow.
So basically what you want to be doing with Zul'Jin is you're a ranged assassin, like a Vala or whatever. You are a little bit more effective at hitting frontliners than you are at hitting the backline. Although you obviously can hit the backline, it's just that you lack some of the mobility tools necessary. Well, you can actually really punish someone up close. Your W can definitely reach into the backline and cause a lot of damage. Just depends on the situation you're in. You just have to play Zul'Jin a bit more cautiously in terms of your positioning, because your positioning is everything. Because again, you have no escape. Even if you try and use Tazdingo, which is one of his 2 ults, then you could potentially just be invincible for 4 seconds and then die after not accomplishing anything if you're in a bad position.
We all know positioning is my strong suit.
Yeah. So I feel like we can maybe
Well done.
cover talents in the next section if we want to jump into a game.
Let's jump into a game. Yes, I'm always up for the whole game thing. Let's
Oh,
get
one other thing as I should mention is that you see that axe icon next to your portrait in the bottom left?
Yes.
So it's hit 150 of 150, which means you've completed your baseline quest. Something I probably should have mentioned. This is more of a recent addition to Zul'Jin. Is once you hit, I believe, 75, I believe you get increased attack range.
Killing blow.
And then once you get to 150, your W now circles twice, which you were able to see. Which,
Oh, that's cool.
yeah, can up double damage, double slow, you can do everything. And it gives you double the opportunities to miss. Alright, so I think that poor Arthas has suffered enough.
Yeah,
So let's
get
go hop into a game. See what we can
Let's
do.
take these training wheels off. Okay, so numbers don't lie, people. I have never ever played this character. From the initial training little tidbit that Kevin just gave me, It does sound like he could be some fun, but because of his need for, well, everyone has a need for positioning, but his particular stress on positioning, this is gonna be probably pretty hard for me and pretty amusing for you guys. But for all of you who maybe, like me, are intimidated by him, might want to give this a watch, and we'll learn how to play him kinda good at least.
Kinda great.
Make way for the bad guy.
Also, side note people, I've also started playing WoW for the first time, so I've seen this guy around, or maybe his brother or something, but somebody with a similar name, or him, around.
Oh, he's very dead in World of Warcraft.
Okay, so no, it was Zul'Jin that I saw. Sorry.
Oh yeah, this guy hates Zul'Jin. They are not friends.
Yeah,
Also, Zul'Jin in WoW lost an eye and cut off one of his arms.
Oh dear God.
Yeah, nobody badder than Zul'Jin. Okay, so you've got a Vikings on your team, which means you're going to be doing some roaming. And we're on Dragonshire, so we'll be
Here forever?
here for a while. Okay, so you've got Rexar, Murden, Gazebo, Li Ming, Hanzo. Li Ming and Hanzo may be a little difficult for you to hit with anything other than your W, just because they're probably going to stay well at range. So they're not going to be your immediate targets. If you can land a W on them, great. But for right now, you can just focus on messing up some of these frontliners. If you can get paired with either Rexar or Murden in lane, they'll be really good to help you build up your stacks early game. That's your main goal right now. You're not the butcher where you need to do nothing but focus on your baseline quest at the beginning. But there's definitely a goal is to try and get your stacks up as fast as possible.
Please ignore the scrub horse. I forgot to change his mount.
Good lord. Okay, so generally I will say that somewhat ironically, the safe pick at 1 is usually Recklessness, which is just like a straight buff to either your spell damage or your auto attack damage when you're lower on health. Bone Slicer will make your Q better, and Headhunter is a very cool quest where if you participate in a takedown with different members of the enemy party, it'll increase your attack damage, and if you kill all of them at some point, then it'll increase your range. So that's the fun talent. Recklessness is the safe talent.
Seems like a good time to head back.
Okay, so, sorry, which one should I be taking right now?
Well, first of all, you want to channel your E to heal up. If you want to be safe, pick Recklessness. If you want to have cool fun times, pick Headhunter.
Cool fun
Alright.
times always.
So that means you're going to try and participate in a lot of team fights, which you were anyway, but this means that every unique enemy that you kill is going to give you increased damage and eventually range.
Loose the Dragon Knight. First blood.
Aha!
Nice one. Alright, so now you've gotten one stack of Headhunter at the beginning. So it's going to increase your damage by, I believe, 2%. So you just got a flat 2% buff, which is basically half a level.
Hurry, activate the shrines and the dragon's power is yours.
Whatever you want.
Alright, so again, you want to be weaving as many auto attacks as you can in to get your trade up.
Well done.
Now you have to 2 stacks of Headhunter, which is great for you.
Choose a talent.
Using using your Q1 buildings is also generally a good idea because they're a very safe target to just smack with your auto attacks.
Okay, and which is my next talent here that I want to take?
So generally the good one here is Amani Rage, which is going to complicate matters for you a little bit. So if you want to skip that, that's okay. Basically what Amani Rage does is it gives you a button you can push that's going to cut your current health in half. So that's kind of like a DPS cooldown that you can use when you're feeling pretty safe. And it gives you a little bit of armor so that you can Yeah, something you'll discover is that you trade very well into other ranged assassins. So like if Hanzo were to stay and try and 1v1 you, you would mess him up. Especially because it sort of looks like you're gonna lose up until your increased attack speed kicks in and then you destroy people. So yeah, so Amani Rage is you lose half your health, you get a little bit of armor, and then you gain your health back slowly. So basically it just helps you proc your increased attack speed trait. So that's the good one. Voodoo Shuffle removes roots and slows, which is good if the enemy team has a lot. Doesn't really look like they do. Troll's Blood just means that your regeneration ability is better, your E. So.
Alright, well you've sold me on Amani Rage. So we're gonna try this one out.
For the
It's gonna scare me.
Yeah, so the fact that the enemy team has a Misha is really great for you, because you could just use your auto attacks to help boost up your trait very easily, because generally they're not too precious with where they position their Rex are. And yeah, something you're discovering is that you can't really do like you can't just fire off your W in like a panic. Like it's a very calculated type of ability.
Yeah, I keep doing that. Like I just like, oh, I'm like, look, an ability, I need to use it.
It's gonna happen.
Oh, a little late on that one.
Close one. Close though.
Easy.
Alright, so your talent at level 7 coming up now.
Oh no! What do you recommend for this
Free
one?
the Dragon Knight
Okay.
and slaughter your enemies.
So I really like mage build Zul'Jin. It's a little bit safer and kind of more consistent, I would say. So I like Arcanine Axes, but if you're having trouble landing your W's, then you don't want to pick Arcanine Axes. Basically what Arcanine Axes does is the more W's you land, the more damage it does. So it's like an uncapped quest, so it'll just keep increasing damage forever. Ferocity is just when you're using when your trait's active, it's increases your attack speed. And Vicious Assault is just again increases the power of your Q in like a very linear sort of fashion.
So in my
Personally,
case here, yeah, what would you take?
I really like Arcanine Axes, but I would
rather
probably take
entertaining.
Vicious Assault.
Whatever you want.
So you can channel your E here while you're chilling out. Unless you get hit in the
Stop
face.
it. Oh, you lucky little person.
Mm-hmm.
So because this one's Amani Rage is on 1, oh dear. Amani Rage is on 1, so I'm gonna constantly be forgetting to use it. So I think for our first little round here, I'm gonna need you to tell me when to use it.
Okay, will do. Very good opener.
Fort destroyed.
Nice one.
Choose a talent.
Ooh, that felt actually really good.
Yeah, you do a lot of damage.
I see what you're thinking.
Killing
Alright, so
spree.
here we're at 10. We didn't actually discuss these when we were going over your basic abilities, but... Alright, so everybody knows Tazdingo. You become immortal for, I think it's 4 seconds. Can be extremely good. It just depends on circumstances. There's Guillotine as well, which is a long-range, high-damage skill shot that deals increasingly more damage the lower health you have. So it combos very well with Amani Rage, which is your 1 key, because you can immediately put yourself to half health and then fire that off. So it just sort of depends what playstyle you like. If you've never played Zul'Jin before, you'll probably want to go Tazdingo, just because it's a little easy to use and it feels really good to be invincible for a few seconds.
Okay, well, Tazdingo it is.
Once you become more comfortable with them, Guillotine is really great, because you can disengage from a team fight and then hurl an axe in from off screen and just kill multiple people in one hit. Alright, so remember what I said about positioning.
Uh-oh, yep,
I want to pop
yep.
Tazdingo.
Your killing spree has ended.
Focus upon this hero.
So how often on a ratio, do you figure that you use Tazdingo to attack or Tazdingo to escape?
The thing is that 4 seconds of invincibility, depending on your situation, is often not long enough to escape. You tend to use that to win trades and force the enemy to retreat. So, you know, you fight with someone, they get low, you get low. Then you pop Tazdingo and the enemy stays, they're probably going to die. And if they leave, then great, just don't chase them, you can disengage. Tazdingo is an ability that you generally want to pop earlier rather than later, just because, as you can see, sometimes you take burst damage and you just pop without really getting a chance to do anything. Yeah, very good. You're keeping your distance, getting your auto attacks in when you can.
It does chunk a significant amount.
Yeah, he's pretty good. And as you take sort of this poke damage here, you'll see that your auto attacks get faster and faster. But generally, you do want to stay healed up when you can.
Focus upon this hero.
Alright, 13 talent.
Yep.
So, Lacerate is a great talent that will increase the slow pretty significantly on your W, so that helps you chase squishies, that helps you disengage if you're being dived on. Eye of Zul'Jin is better if you prefer more of an auto-attack playstyle. Basically, it's when you are auto-attacking someone, you will move faster when you're chasing them. And then Ensnare is a skill shot route that you can combo with other things, like, for instance, Guillotine. Or just with your W. So if you're getting confused about your 1 buttons and your 2 buttons and so on, then you probably don't want to get Ensnare. If you like chasing people, Eye of Zul'Jin's your friend. If you prefer to poke, then Lacerate is better.
Okay, well, we both know I like to chase people, so we're gonna go with Lacerate.
That would be Eye of Zul'Jin, actually.
Sorry, Eye of Zul'Jin.
Yeah.
Alright.
So that'll give you increased attack speed when you're chasing and hitting someone.
We're gonna go help out. Oh, maybe they don't need my help. No, screw me, they don't need my help.
Seems like it. You can go help the DK, though. Oh boy. You know, maybe don't help the DK. Maybe go clear some waves or something.
Yeah. I think he's a little dead. How is... Okay, now that we've got a little breather here, how is Zul'Jin with camps, and can I do this on my own?
You can do a siege camp on your own for sure. I wouldn't say he's amazing, just because he doesn't really have sustain without disengaging from the enemy, but he definitely chunk down a siege camp, no problem.
For the Amani. I'm heading back. Kill one of them for me.
Alright, so now would be not a bad time to actually... oh, that would have been not a bad time to actually pop your W. Your 1 key, your Money Rage. Just because there were multiple enemies that you could be hitting, but you were in a very safe position. Not so much anymore. Alright, don't forget to pop Tazdingo if you're afraid to... Yeah, there you go.
Who will control the Dragon Knight's power?
Oh.
Oh, that's a ballsy Muradin.
It's a pretty ballsy Muradin. Good night, Muradin. And that is your quest complete, Headhunter. So now you have even more increased range. So you have a basic attack range of, I think, like 8 now, which is very, very far.
Yeah, kind of gross. Okay.
Yeah, so quick match is kind of a better place to take that Headhunter ability at 1, just because people are not as concerned with not dying. So now you're in a pretty good spot. You're a little late on getting your baseline quest up, which is hitting that 150 stacks for this level, but you have got Headhunter finished, which means that your damage and your range are higher than average for this point in the game. Now your W is actually a pretty decent wave clear as long as you can kind of hit the right angle on it.
Listen here, lady. Ah.
Alright, so you can pop your 1 key if you think you're going to be able to keep chasing them. And hit your W.
That didn't go so good.
Did go so good. Okay, so you're at your 17 talents, but I'll let you murder hands up first.
Rather entertaining.
It's really funny when other ranged assassins think they can trade into you, because they can't.
Okay,
Right,
so what do
channel-
I want here?
First channel your E and get some health back. Basic attacks with ignore armor is not really super relevant against the enemies you're facing. Wrong place, wrong time is very powerful if you are very good at landing your W, which again, maybe not this exact second, but let the killing begin is a very safe ability. That's whenever you kill an enemy, you increase your attack speed. Now an enemy can be a minion or an enemy can be a enemy hero. So if you're fighting in lane a lot, then let the killing begin is very strong because you can just kill minions and then that'll buff your attack speed. Alright, so you were very good at defending against DKs and Immortals and other type of boss monsters, so you probably want to prioritize doing that, which is mid right now.
Okay, and so which ability, I know you explained all the benefits of them, but which one am I taking in this exact instance?
I'd probably take let the killing begin here. Again, I really favor the the W build, but it's not super beginner friendly.
Enemy slain. Your enemies have dismantled the keep.
Battle is far from over. I see what you hero must be cut
Yeah, so that's the problem with W is it's got that kind of longer cast time.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to figure out at the timing on that cast time, because I'm like, ooh, they're in the circle, let's go.
Alright, let's go mess up
The
Murda.
enemy is attacking your core.
Alright, hit him with that W, slow him. It's a little aggressive with the range there, but okay. Yeah, so look at how far your attack range is. Alright, so you got your level 20. So you definitely want to go Almighty Resilience here. This means that when you pop Tezdingo, once it finishes, you will heal for the amount of damage that you did during Tezdingo.
Unleash the dragon's wrath.
So that means that you can just stay during Tezdingo and fight people, and then heal yourself up based on the murdering that you accomplished. So that makes you very scary, even if you're outnumbered. As they jump all over you, you pop Tezdingo, you kill someone, you pop back up to full health, you kill someone else. The other ult choice was basically to improve your E. I think it makes it you're unable to it can't be interrupted. So I think you can move and you can take damage and it doesn't interrupt your healing on E, which is very useful, but it's nothing compared to the absurd power of Almighty Resilience. That's a lot of damage to your core. Alright, so you want to hit. Yep. Very nice W. They're chunking pools. If Rexar gets fresh, you can pop your 1 key and go in.
The enemy is attacking your core.
Oh, you gotta take care of that siege giant.
Your core is under attack.
Alright, see if you can tag him with help Diablo. Alright, he's got slow. Q. Alright. So now you've completed you want axe, which means that you are at full strength. So now your W's will revolve twice, which will help you with damage. It will also help you with aiming, because it gives them more chances to run into it. The DK is going to go hit straight for your core right now, so you're going to probably want to go back.
You're the boss.
Alright, so this is an opportunity for you to pop your 1 key and just go to town on DK.
Your core is under attack.
Alright, remember your R. Alright, now murder Nazebo. Alright, see how you pop back up to half health?
It seems you have lost a key. The enemy is attacking your
Alright, you're gonna
core.
want to B right now, or at least use your E, just because you're not gonna catch Murden.
Well done.
Oh, now you're gonna catch Murden. Another great opportunity to use your 1 key there. Not right now, but...
Your core is under attack.
Don't mess with the Vikings!
I know you're gonna say I told you so, but I kinda like him.
He's pretty fun. Mouse over your glowing red axe thing in the bottom left real quick. Yeah, so so every 5 basic attacks against heroes increases your basic attack damage by 1. So it keeps going over and above 150.
The dragon awaits, heroes.
So I'm
How's
assuming
your
this
And destroy
is
your
a hero
enemy.
who doesn't like heroes like Lily or anything with a blind, really.
Yeah, for sure. Although he's a lot less reliant on purely auto attacks than he used to be. He used to be really, really bad for that. Just like a complete inability to do anything if he was blinded. Now that you're able to spec more into damage on your Q, this is a good time to just pop your, and even your D, and just go nuts. Because this is do or die.
Well done.
And pop your Tez Dingo as well if you really want to go in.
Double kill.
Darn.
Yeah, that'll happen to you. But you did way more hero damage than anybody else in your team.
And our Diablo died 11 times, so I mean,
MVP.
That's true.
eh.
He looked like he was doing okay out there, but you didn't really have anywhere to escape from bad situations.
Well, 3 deaths for a character I've never played. I'll take that.
Yeah, going 7-3 in a losing game is not bad at all for your first time with Zul'Jin.
But I guess my little recap of this would be, I need to be way more patient on that W, because I'm like, oh, I see them, I need to do some damage, let's just throw this out there. And you do definitely feel that urge to just be like, okay, put out the damage. It's like a Jaina W, like you just want to, it goes in a circle like that, so you just kind of want to dump it on them, and you kind of need to wait a sec and stay back a sec and wait till they're in the right spot.
Yeah, it's got... Eventually you'll develop a sort of intuition with it, where you'll kind of be able to fire it more quickly, but definitely for the first little while it's more of a, you have to sit and think for a sec.
Alright, so second round, guys. This time I'm actually going to play like I'm playing a real match, and instead of just following Kevin's lead, I'm going to actually try and win. And when I do things wrong, shut up, Kevin. When I
You were
do
definitely not trying to win last time.
Yeah, no. I was just trying to do abilities all the time. So this is the stage where I actually try and play him for reals. And Kevin's going to be my trusty coach and just correct me when I do things wrong. I'm of the opinion I kind of need a buzzer or like a shock collar or something to kind of stop me from doing stupid things. But I'm sure Kevin is backseat playing and is kind of wishing he could take over my keyboard, but we'll see how this goes.
Oh, you're doing fine, Sam. Don't listen to Aiden's negative reinforcement. So we're going to be potentially testing out Guillotine this time around. And actually, this is a very good enemy team comp for Guillotine, because Chromie and Sergeant Hammer are prone to stand still for long periods of time. So that is a good target for Guillotine.
So why don't you tell us while we get ready for this and I play a little bit, why don't you tell everyone how Zul'Jin fits into the meta right now?
So Zul'Jin is your ranged assassin for your team. Basically, general consensus right now is that every team comp needs one ranged assassin. He is definitely the lower mobility of the options that you have available to you. He was meta before, and then they nerfed him because he was getting a little bit ridiculous after they buffed his mage build. So they've nerfed his mage build quite significantly. Basically, you want to draft Zul'Jin against low mobility frontliners who aren't going to be able to press into you. So that's if they're drafting, multiple tanks or tanks and bruisers, and you need someone who can just tear them down, kind of like a Tychus. Tychus is still kind of better at that role, but Zul'Jin is more flexible. He also trades extremely well into other ranged damage dealers. So if they have, say, a Vala, you can kind of do a soft counter to that by picking Zul'Jin, because Zul'Jin will trade 1v1 versus Vala very successfully. As to why you would necessarily pick him over other ranged options, obviously his ults are very unique and can apply in a bunch of different situations. Like, if you know that the enemy team is going for some sort of like high damage combo, you can try and counter that with Tezdingo. Oh, that's close. That's close. Oh no, that's terrible.
Almost had that stupid hammer.
But yeah, he'll just pump out a ton of damage. Like, he's the highest sustained damage dealing of probably all the ranged options that you could select right now. You are dead.
Yeah. It's that bloodthirst again.
So if you're fighting, like, if you're on Battlefield of Eternity, for instance, Zul'Jin's a really good choice there. I mean, there's several very good choices for ranged damage dealer on that map, but I especially like Zul'Jin. Also, if you're a little weak on healing, he can kind of support himself. So if you're going with a slightly less heavy healing composition, he can take some of that load off. He does pair very well with someone who can give heal over time. So someone like Morales or New Malf especially might be very good with him. This video is coming out at a time where Malf just got reworked and we haven't quite seen what that impact's going to be like yet.
Yes, I'm both dreading and loving that Malf rework.
So do remember that during this early phase of the game, you definitely want to be getting your trade up. So, not saying that you should abandon Tracer to the solo lane, which is not her strength either, but you do want to make sure that you're trying to get in your auto attacks and your team fights where you can. The best thing for you is if you get paired up against like some... Man, your team is not doing well. Paired up against some sort of high health frontliner, like a Rexar, like in the previous game, or like some other tank, like a Diablo, or I mean someone like a Nova or a Samuro who has clones that you can just safely smack. So you can hold this for a reasonable amount of time. It's easier if you don't whiff. Well, that's unfortunate. Yeah, you're gonna want to leave. You can't. You're not gonna be able to safely poke. Might as well head down bot and see what you can do mid lane. This could be a very good time to pick wrong place, wrong time for one of your talents later on. There's someone where if you hit with the apex of both your axes with your W, you will deal extra bonus damage. Because obviously that's very easy to land on Sergeant Hammer. Yeah, like that. So you would have gotten bonus damage if you take that talent later.
Alright, let's go try and gank a Gazlowe, I guess.
You should be pretty successful at that. Yeah, especially considering you watch your health.
Owie.
Yep. One little trick that sometimes matters is if you just tap E, you get a small, like once you start channeling it, you get a small little burst of heal immediately. So if you're in a situation where you just need a tiny, tiny bit of health, just like that to escape, even if you can't afford to stand a channel, tapping E will get you a little bit of health back instantly.
So I took that last talent out of Process of Elimination, what I thought would be the most useful.
It's certainly my favorite, and I don't think it's a bad choice here at all. You're going to be hitting Nova clones with it. You're going to be hitting Sergeant Hammer fairly easily. And you're already up to 4 kills on your Headhunter, so you're not off to a bad start. You are a little bit low on your auto attacks, though. But the enemy team doesn't exactly have a ton of front line for you to be smacking around.
Don't they know I need stacks?
I know, right? Alright, you definitely need to be tanking this for Tracer, because she can't.
Who cares?
She can't trace. Sure. Alright, so watch yourself. You're going to be hitting 10 pretty soon. That is deep, Sam.
I wanted that stupid chromie.
Yeah, but you ain't getting that stupid chromie. Now, maybe if you pick... Get... Oh.
Oh, that was some quick thinking.
Yep.
So, guillotine?
Yeah, I think if you pick Guillotine here, this is a good enemy team comp for it. Yeah, you're gonna wanna Hearthstone. So just when you're back at base, just tap R and look at the range that you're dealing with. It's very large. Now the impact radius is not crazy high, not crazy large itself, but your range is very, very, very high. So what you can do is you can tap 1, and then you can throw the axe. So that is the reverse order, but don't worry about it. You'll notice that your 1 ability, Amani Rage, is a 20-second cooldown, extremely low, and your Guillotine has a 40-second cooldown, also extremely low.
That's not gonna grow back on its own. Go heal.
I see what you're thinking.
Alright, so you can probably hit... You could probably hit any of them with Guillotine from that distance. Not now, you can't. But there's definitely a window there where you could have dropped the big axe on Chromie. Now, the damage of Guillotine scales up very well with how much life you have left. So if you have very little life left, it does a ton. You can actually see next to your axe indicator at the bottom left, you now have another one showing how much damage Guillotine will do. Not terribly useful, but because I'll never be looking down there. But you can just kind of use it to illustrate. So right now it does a very respectable 500 damage. And that's when you're at full health. So when you're low, it just gets better and better. So don't feel like you have to save that until you're down to 5% life to get value out of it. Because oftentimes you'll just be dead before you can get that off. Ooh, that was very close. Unlike with Tezdingo, which has a much longer cooldown, you can afford to be pretty loose and free with your ult.
So where do we want to go?
Not quite like... probably Lacerate, I would say. If you get good, which let's all remember is the eventual goal.
Yes.
You can do the ensnare combo where you ensnare someone and then hit them with guillotine.
Or I can whiff that W completely.
Yeah, you can do that too. So now might not be the worst time in the world to pop your D, just because you need to put the heat on while the enemies are not around. And now things are getting scary. Ooh, nice hit. But now you're dead.
That's okay, so I keep trying to watch for that ult, and then I'm losing track of... Like, I'm tunnel visioning a little bit, so... For others, yeah, that could be a problem, so watch out for tunnel vision.
Yep, for sure. Alright, so get down there, pop that D, and start chunking the boss. Throwing those big W's.
God, I hate these chromey circles.
Yeah, it's gonna be annoying for you. You're gonna have to back up, unfortunately. Oh. Boink.
At least
Nice
if my
one.
team is gonna lose, I'm gonna hit
Alright,
at
so
least
you
one
have a
W.
crazy lethal guillotine right now.
Oh,
So that was you
close.
healing up to full before using guillotine.
Yes, I accidentally pressed E instead of R. That was a misclick. And
That would
this is
do it.
why I'm a scrub. I get excited and I press the wrong button.
Alright, so you're up to your 16 talent, which I believe lets you choose wrong place, wrong time now. So now when you hover over, you get this little indicator for where the apex is. So you'll deal bonus damage if you hit anyone in that. And that includes minions and stuff, so it's also good for wave clear and so on. Alright, so once your cooldown's back up, try and hit the siege giants with the apex. So you can see that damage. Yeah,
Ooh, that's quite good.
it's pretty good. I really like his W build.
It does seem like his W build would suit me better.
Yeah, the auto attack build, you have to be a little bit more up people's faces. Oh, your core is hating it.
Yeah. Well, this has been very enlightening because in some ways my intimidation or feeling of intimidation has kind of been validated in that there's a lot of things to think about with Zul'Jin. There's a lot of different ways to build him. So there's a lot of different ways I could screw it up. He is fun to play, I'll give him that, but he doesn't exactly help my propensity to rush in. And I kind of have to pull on the reins a little bit and back myself up. I do like him. I definitely need to practice him a bit more, so you will be seeing a results video once I master him a little bit and get a little bit good. Kevin, what would you say is the most important thing to know when playing Zul'Jin?
Don't get sort of sucked in by all of his eccentricities. Like, you can focus on getting maximum value from a lot of his different aspects, in terms of, you know, keeping him at low health, or like maximizing his health, or getting the perfect guillotine off, or getting the perfect W off, just get like wrong place, wrong time, doing sort of combos. You can get really sucked into try and maximize Zul'Jin. Well, I think you really have to remember your fundamentals. You have to remember, you know, your ranged assassin, remember your positioning, remember choosing your targets, keeping yourself at a reasonable health level, know when to retreat, know when to Hearthstone. Like, none of that really changes, even though Zul'Jin's got all this push-pull that rewards you for playing a little bit differently.
Alright, well, as you can see, guys, this was my very first time playing Zul'Jin, and he kind of met my expectations in terms of difficulty. So I'll have to spend a little bit more time practicing with him, but I will promise a results video, which will come out after this video comes out. So please leave us some comments on the video. Tell us what you like about Zul'Jin. Tell us what you don't like. What's your advice when you start playing him? You can hit us up on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram. Or if you feel like writing us a longer response, you can always email us at scrubleaguepodcast@gmail.com. And leave us any requests for things heroes you'd like to learn and have Kevin and Aiden teach me. So until next time, guys, this is Sam and Kevin, and we'll see you next time.
Hey Sam, you
What?
want axe?
Yes, I want axe.